everyone, welcome back to episode 144 of Coffee with Craner. Today I have a special guest, Jordan Goure. He is the president, CEO, and founder of Picsume, a hiring platform locally, but you've serviced across all of Canada, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the internet's everywhere.
Everywhere. And they're a hiring platform that eliminates the need for a resume through the creation of live dynamic work profiles. And, Jordan's got his hands in a lot of pots. He is the owner of VIN Winery and also BREW Microbrewery. We'll talk about that. It's the first microbrewery that happened in the city.
Yep.
And also owner of Wedding in the Woods. You can see behind us, we're at their beautiful venue at VIN Winery. And we got a pool in front of us. Like, this feels like a resort, I'll be honest. It's
it's one of the few resorts in the region, right?
Yes.
We just made it into a campus. So
yeah,
tech campus mixed with events and manufacturing. We got it all going on here.
Yeah, I had a great tour. It's really, really cool. You have to come check it out. Also, he's a member of the board of directors for Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island, and that happened just recently.
Yeah, I just got appointed to the board a few weeks ago, actually. So
excellent.
Excited to help the entire region there, right? So
Yes. And also an advisor to the board of directors for We Tech Alliance, and graduated from the University of Windsor.
I did, many moons ago, but University of Windsor alumni, and I love it. I've seen the University of Windsor has been skyrocketing, and so pretty happy.
Lots of talent sitting next to me. A lot of ideas that you've obviously brought to fruition. So I'm excited to talk about Picsume, but all the exciting things you got going on.
Well, first I want to congratulate you on 144 episodes. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a big number.
Yeah,
to stick with anything that long, I mean, that's the entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yeah, you got to stay consistent, right? So thank you very much. And you can see this is the first episode. I'm drinking wine on set. What do we got here?
Yeah, so we have our VIN Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's all of our drinks, whether they're beers or wines, our production motto is smooth, easy drinking. So they're all neutral, well balanced. So this isn't dry or overly sweet. For a Cab Sauv, very drinkable. And I figured since you always have coffee, I wanted something the color of coffee for you. So I wasn't throwing the viewers
off. It's just coffee in here. I don't drink.
Yeah, so cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming out here.
Yeah, thanks. It is smooth.
Right? Drinkable.
Yeah. Easily can get you hammered.
Exactly. You shouldn't make drinks if you can't get to that point. Right? Don't tell the AGCO that.
Yeah. Now, aside from wine, what about coffee? Where's your favorite place to go?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask this question, and funny enough, I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm a tea drinker.
Okay.
I don't know if you've had tea drinkers on the show before.
A few.
Okay. As far as tea, I make it at home, obviously. Like, steep a lot of my own teas. But as far as aesthetics of like tea or coffee place in this region, like Caffeine & Co., beautiful building. Big fan of architecture. So love that building. I go in there a few times. And my wife enjoys the coffee there, so let's go with that.
There you go. Otherwise, it's at home and you're chillaxed. And
exactly, yeah.
Nothing better. But no, I mean, you wear a lot of hats, right? So first I want to talk about Picsume, because that's your latest startup.
We've been working on it since 2021.
Yeah.
So for about 3 years now, we actually incorporated and had the initial idea back in 2011, and we'll talk a little bit about that founding when we get there. But it's my full-time gig now. So I'm full-time on Picsume. We've put the teams in place to run the other companies. So I'd love to talk a lot about Picsume today.
Yeah, and how did this start? Were you like, okay, we need a different platform for job seekers?
So get right into it. All right. So Picsume is it's a platform that eliminates the need for a resume through the creation of live dynamic work profiles.
Yes.
That's one part of the platform. The other side is that we scrape the internet for active job listings. We pull them in from every region, and then we pair them with candidates on our platform. So we're not a marketplace, but we're tools for both enterprise companies that need to use job boards, for example, and then also for candidates that need to apply to jobs. So that, in essence, is what our company does. And how it started really was me being in business. So I started out... we'll go way back. Back when I was 18, 19 years old, I started my first company. I got into hospitality, which obviously has a high turnover rate. Started my first company, which was a restaurant called the Poorhouse Pub.
Yep.
From there, we opened up a nightclub called Symbol Nightclub and Members Lounge. We dabbled in a few other bars and restaurants, and at one point we got to the point where we had 4 operating together. Yeah, this was around 2011. So we had about 200 staff at that point, and high turnover. And the only way to get staff was go post something on Kijiji there wasn't even really Facebook Marketplace back then. So it was literally like post a job on Kijiji and then get 1,000 resumes sent to our inbox.
Not to sift through it all.
And have to sift through it manually. In small business, as you said, wearing many hats, it's a massive issue.
Yes.
So we thought of the idea back then. We didn't really know how to do it. We were tech savvy guys, but we building software companies back in the 2010, 2011 era. Facebook was only like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, right? MySpace.
Like you're still in an early era of anything technology based. So we found out very early on that it'd be very much out of our cost prohibitive to start a company of that scale back then.
Yeah.
Could not do it, right? So we knew we wanted to solve an issue, which was the way that people were entering the workforce, the way that people were getting jobs and hourly work roles. We knew that we had the building blocks of what we wanted to do, and we just didn't know how to do it. So we shelved it, and we ran companies for another 10 years until we brought it back out, and it's a completely new company now. And over that time, I mean, we'll talk about that, but we started manufacturing companies, we started real estate development companies, we started a whole other plethora of companies, and every time we were starting new companies, we were hiring, we were still hitting this roadblock. Posting on a job board, now we have Indeed, right? We have Indeed, you post on a job board, you don't have what's called applicant tracking systems, ATS systems. You don't really have those innately for small companies. So you're posting, you're getting 1,000 resumes, you're manually sifting through. Every time we open a company, we hit this.
Yeah.
You go to a job fair, you get 1,000 pieces of paper. So this is where the company started evolving over those decades. And we just couldn't believe, come 2021, COVID hits, we couldn't believe that this issue has not been solved yet, right? It's amazing with all the technology that's advanced from 2010 to 2021. How has this not evolved? So we went to one of our friends who's in enterprise software. He's been building enterprise level software for 15 years.
Yeah.
We laid out the scope. We laid out the business strategy. We talked over many glasses of wine, and I don't have a number of the amount of beers, but it was many. And we talked for the entire pandemic, starting in 2020, 2021 is when we actually started the business strategy, and we amended the company and we restarted.
So you said you had this idea for a little bit,
Yep.
and then it was kind of on the back burner. You ran some other companies, and then you came back to it. At what point were you like, okay, I gotta leap into this? Because many people have ideas, but those that actually take action and move that idea to the next phase is very few people actually do that. So what was the turning point for you where you're like, hey, full throttle?
Good question. Like I've actually heard you speak before, and the premise of your speech, I think it was HR Disrupt last year, was say yes to ideas.
Yeah.
Right? Like say yes, which I wholeheartedly agree with. People are scared to do things. Where I disagreed was you have to know when to say yes, and I think that's what you're asking right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a key indicator of success is that people are saying yes at the right times. So as I described, we were not ready to start this company in 2010.
Yeah.
We didn't understand software to the level we needed to, and the tools might not have been there. So what changed over that time to give us the ability to say yes? Well, a ton more experience, obviously another decade, and not just in hospitality. At this point now, we did micro manufacturing, we did real estate development, and as I said, we did a lot of different experience in just operations of companies, and we were different people. So we were just different people than we were when we wanted to start the company originally. So I think that's
more life experience
business experience, and usually when you gain experience, you also gain money. And that's what helps with companies, right? So
yes. And how do you said you have these support systems, these teams in place. So that kind of answers my question. How do you balance everything going on, family time, kids? Like you're very, very involved. Yeah. I thought I was busy, but you can take busy to a whole new level.
Yeah. I mean, it's good my wife's not in this interview because she would have different things to say, I think, than what I have to say. But honestly, the balance, it is difficult, and there's no secret to it. Like I work 60 to 80 hours a week, and I'm also as present as I want to be with my family. So I'm a great father, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
My wife's about to pop as we talk. She's actually 40 weeks pregnant during this interview, so we might get a call, and I told you that.
Yeah.
But the point of that balance is being present when you're doing the things that you're doing. So every time I'm with my family, I'm not checking emails, I'm not taking phone calls, and that's an important thing to do. And when I'm working, my wife knows to leave me alone. And then the second part of your question, so putting the people in place, that's key. So you said earlier, many hats. Everyone knows this in small business.
Yeah.
But no one knows the secret of how to grow from small to medium to large. And the secret is that you can't wear many hats to grow from small to medium to large, right? You can't do all those things. So it's not just putting the people in place, it's also trusting those people you put in place. I think that's one of the hardest steps to do for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think I can do it best. You think you can do it best, right? This is what makes us who we are. It's what makes us ambitious. It's what makes us great leaders. It makes us good at what we do by thinking we can do it best. Now you have to step back and say, this person can do it as good as me. It's a hard lesson.
It is. It is.
Right?
You like our broker at our office often tells me like you're never going to find somebody that matches your work ethic.
Yeah.
Or your
Passion.
Yeah, your passion, right? So it's like a little bit of giving somebody the trust to take the ball and run with it.
100%. Because that's the answer to the question that you asked. Is it's not just delegating. Everyone thinks, well, I can start 10 companies. I'll put the smartest people or the best people for the positions in those positions. And then overnight, I have success. I have a conglomerate of companies. I have 10 companies.
Yeah.
That doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You have to trust those people. You have to help them when they need it. You have to be present when you're working with them. There's so many things that you need to do along the way, and you need to change as a person. You have to take the hats off rather than putting them on, really, is what you have to do.
What gaps do you think other people are filling for you? That like personally, like.
Yeah, I mean, every gap that you can consider, right? It's like, first off, that's another whole like paradigm shift of train of thought is you have to identify gaps within yourself to say fill them. But then you also have to identify things that you want people to do that aren't even gaps that need to be filled.
Yes.
Right? So, but everything. So operations is a big one, right? For every company, you should have an operations lead. If you don't have an operations lead, and I learned this pretty early on, if you try to do too many things within those companies, operationally specifically, we're not talking about marketing or finance, but just operations, things get missed. And then those other teams don't flow effectively. So operationally, I have people filling in all of the companies, people that I trust that are great at what they do. And at this point now, like I said, I'm not fearful if they don't have the passion or the knowledge to do it. So we're talking bookkeeping, like the base tasks that if you do it for one company, you can't do it for 5 companies, and you can't do it for 10. There's just some stuff that you can't do. It doesn't matter how much time you're going to work, you just can't do it.
Yes.
So those gaps are important to fill pretty early on.
And knowing what your time is, what's worth your time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, should I be doing this job when I can be doing this? Right? So it's that constant tug of war situation, right? So.
And not getting mad at yourself when you're doing those other jobs. Because sometimes you enjoy doing them. Sometimes I like monotonous jobs, for example. Like, I'm plugged into all of our teams at Picsume. I love it. Sometimes I just want a sweep before, right? I just want to do that.
Yeah.
So you can't hate yourself for doing those things that 15 years ago, that's what my job was. It was running around making sure the building didn't burn down while trying to get customers in and also maximizing my profit on those customers.
So let's lean into that. So your other jobs, you mentioned a few businesses downtown, VIN, BREW, the real estate company. How are those experiences helping you now with Picsume?
Yeah, well, as I said, like operationally, if you run a company, you learn a lot of things. Every company has bookkeepers, every company has marketing teams, you have to market your company. So every time you're learning those experiences, even though they're in different industries, those skills can be transferred. So that's obviously one of the easier lower hanging fruit answers. The other is how they tie together. The synergy among companies is really how you start to succeed. So I'm going to bring my brother into this one. So we like to say we're two sides of the same coin. I'm more data and analytical. I'm a finance-minded guy, and my brother's fully a creative, right? So we separated pretty early on in our careers. We've been in business for 17 years, the entire time.
Yeah.
Brothers. Sometimes you can fight, and they don't come back. But
it's tough working with family sometimes.
And it is tough, but we do complete different things. And why is that important? What we do synergizes, and all of our companies synergize in the areas that we work on them. So the real estate development company came to be from we kept renovating and we kept doing a lot of our own projects for the small businesses we were starting up. So we were learning a lot along the way, right? If you can renovate a place effectively and affordably, you can become a good developer. So we learned that from multiple companies that we started up and doing the renovations in properties that we didn't own. And then we decided, and we'll talk more about this after, but we decided that we would never lease another building. We're going to own everything that we're going to operate going forward. So we can have control of our destiny in those situations. So when we started doing that, my brother took over the creative decisions and the design and the real estate design side. I took over the developing side, making sure it made financial sense. And then we kept seeing success on this real estate development company. So that spun off, and that's what became Goure Estates. Now we have many projects on the go with that. So we have a golf retreat that we're building in Blenheim right now, which will also be Wedding in the Woods too. So we're going to be doing Wedding in the Woods Chatham Kent now. And then we also have a beach retreat being built on Peely. So the southernmost beach retreat in Canada. It's called the Frame Beach Retreat's being built. It's A-frames that we shipped over from Estonia. We bought about 600-700 feet of beachfront, and we've been building A-frames on it for the last 2 years.
Where do these ideas come from?
Like I said, synergy amongst companies. And this is the true entrepreneurial spirit, to be honest. There's not an entrepreneurial meet that's an actual entrepreneur that's not getting bored. Success does not make you not bored. Success makes you more bored, right? So it's like, I want to be doing things. So these ideas for these companies generally come from operating in the other companies. And that's where I'm talking about synergy. It's whatever I'm spending my time on, I'm both learning on something that can help me succeed in another company, and I'm also coming up with ideas for another company. And I mean, if you're not an ambitious person, you're generally not going to be a very successful entrepreneur. So the ambition is always driving you to do those new things.
How many ideas would you say, yourself and your brother and your team come up with that you execute versus you're like, okay, no, this isn't going to work?
We don't do. Yeah. This is an amazing question because this will bring us right back to Picsume. Software, you can come up with 100 ideas a week, and you need to pick like a handful to execute. If you get your team developing everything, everyone thinks, oh, it's digital. Digital at the level that we're creating now, where it's all custom tools, it's all custom software. We have a lot of government funding building literally proprietary technology. You start putting those teams and tasking them on random ideas you come up with, which might seem easier than a brick and mortar idea. You're losing your shirt in software, right? So how many? Like, if I showed you our feature list of the last 4 years from brainstorming sessions, it's like the company could have been doing and operating in any way. So a lot. Like I would say, and this brings me back to the just say yes. I think it's like say no 99% of the time, but be willing to say yes all the time. Because if you're not willing to say yes, you're not going to be ready.
Yes, absolutely. And
yes.
There you go. So, do you and your brother like sit down? You guys open up some VIN and just.
We try to keep the drink to a minimum now. Obviously, being brought up in the hospitality industry, you can let that overflow. So Friday nights we literally just have drinks Friday nights now. That's brainstorming sessions like amongst us. And then every Thursday morning, we have a founder meeting with our CTO. So Nick Mastermati, our enterprise guy that really helped bring Picsume to life. And we've been doing this now for years since the company started. It used to be less structured, and now it's structured. It's like a meeting on the books because we're all in meetings basically from morning till night now. So we have a meeting structured for 2 hours every Thursday morning. We brainstorm, and that's all we do. And when
that's
we make
a really good idea. And most entrepreneurs that have businesses don't. I think this will take them to the next level, and you guys have obviously seen that, is having a dedicated night each week. Okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to brainstorm. We're going to debrief. The other business owners, they're just caught in the day-to-day operations, and then they never take it to the next level because they haven't taken those moments.
And then you start hating like the day-to-day operations. If you never take yourself out and you start to just like do the brainstorming, which is what makes us who we are. You start to hate your job, right? It becomes a job then as opposed to a passion.
Now, taking us back to Picsume, how's it been? What are you most proud of so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a ride. Like first, I said this actually maybe 10 years ago when we were starting the brewery. I said I never want to work on companies that don't have limitless potential. Right. It's that's just what makes me, I think, tick in the mornings. Is I want to know that I can work on a company, I can put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and we're not going to hit a roadblock that is we grew as much as we can possibly grow. So Picsume opens up like a whole new realm of that for me. So what are we working on now? Well, first we just won the award. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes, Chamber Award.
Yeah, most innovative company in the region. Thank you. So that was big. I mean, we're one of the few software companies in this region's history to ever win that award. A lot of automotive companies and those types of things are very innovative. A lot bigger budgets than software startups. So we're very excited. We've posted our first revenue in just previous quarter. We just started demo day that you were at, which now we're starting to talk to people regionally. So what we've done at Picsume is we're building a software company that has national and possible global possible reach, but we're trying to get people in Windsor tied in at these stages, so in these first few years. So we just announced our advisory board as well a few months ago. That was back in April. So we've got a VP from the Globe and Mail, a VP from Global IBM, one of the national managing directors that just left Manulife. They all joined our board. So that was huge.
Shout out to Troy Shirk.
Yeah, Troy Shirk from the U.S.
Yes.
From here, but from a company in the U.S. Yeah, he joined the board as well.
A legend.
Massive legend. Yeah. So I wasn't going to name names, but yeah,
hey,
Troy's awesome.
He'll be watching. So I gotta boost his ego a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. And starting an advisory board at this stage of our company, we thought it was very important, and it was important to bring these people like Troy that literally grew up in River Canard, not far from our property or our Picsume campus, bringing them back. They all went off to build these companies. We call this like where people are leaving, right? And we hope they come back at some point. What we wanted to do at Picsume was build a big company here and bring these people that have went off and become titans in their fields and bring that experience back, help us build it here. And that's why I joined boards like Tourism Windsor Essex Beeley Island, WeTech, and those types of things, because I plan on doing the same thing. Anything I learn, I plan on transferring those skills to companies in this region so we can grow this region as a whole.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Now, what's looking ahead for Picsume? Where do you see things going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so we're starting to sign some massive contracts with companies that aren't just located in Windsor, but they have operations in a lot of other countries or across our entire country.
Yeah.
So where I see it is we're going to become the onboarding tool for pretty much every business to change the way that they're onboarding now. So they're evolving. We like to say at Picsume that there's a big disconnect between enterprise, so large companies, and then the people that they want to hire. They don't understand each other. I was at Emerging Tech or Engaging Tech, one of the conferences here in Windsor, and they asked one of the largest companies coming down here. They said, "What are you doing to speak to new people coming into the workforce?" And they're like, "Well, we let them pick their shift now. They can work midnights or afternoons." It's like, this is not what people want.
No.
Like everyone has side hustles. Like their availability means more to them than their salary. Like this is what we learned through outreach. We've almost onboarded 10% of all the students in our city now. So we have a pretty good finger on the pulse of this region, and now we're going out of the region. So it's like, this is not what people want. They want freedom, and they also want to be able to present themselves and be impactful. And that's what Picsume allows them to do. So that's one part of what Picsume allows them to do. The second is all of the tools we've built for business. So we've kind of changed the game. Right now, you apply for a company. I work for them for 5-10 years, and this company now doesn't know who I am 10 years in. I'm talking big companies, 1,000 employees, 10,000 employees, right? But with Picsume, you're a number. With Picsume, it's always updated. So we have what's called crew management, and if I onboarded through Picsume, or if a company onboards with Picsume and they bring all of their existing staff in, now I get to visualize my entire workforce and all the people applying to my company. So if there's people that should probably be moving up through the chains of my company and moving up into other positions, there's master students on the lines, which we see all the time, that should have been moving up. We like to visualize that and move that person up so you're not going to have attrition. So that's where we've reinvented how you visualize the people that work for you, and that's really what Picsume is. So we call that Powered by Picsume. Picsume's dynamic work profile, it's a way to visualize everyone in the workforce. We're creating a database of workforce for the entire country. And then our tools that we've created is how to interact with those profiles, and that's what we sell to business enterprise. And that's where we're seeing a lot of success now.
That's genius. I mean, I work with
thank you. And the interview.
No, I mean it's really cool because I work with clients that work at Stellantis, and you're right. It's employee number whatever, and the guys at the top, guys and girls at the top, they don't know. Okay, this person has been here for 30 years. This is their family background. This is their education. What should we do to empower them? Right?
And keep this person.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's worried about, and you should, about attracting new people to the workforce, but keep the people that you have as well.
Yeah. Or, he's worked, he or she's worked 48 hours consistently every week for the past 10 years.
Okay. See that data.
Yeah.
And you might see the payroll reports. That's what they see in their HRIS systems. Yeah. We don't overlap with that at all. Yeah. We integrate with those so we can pass this data to your HR system. So we're not an HR system. And then another thing I want to point out where we're going with Picsume. So I started this with the build the better mousetrap, right? Like this is an issue. My company's, I'm manually going through 1,000 resumes. We need to change the way people enter the workforce. And that's what a Picsume profile is, right? That's what a dynamic work profile is. The next part of that is applicant tracking systems exist for large companies and enterprise, but they don't exist for small companies because they're very expensive. So the software is very expensive. So we built what we deem to be the first, what we found to be the first in market in Canada, ATS system that's programmed when you build your profile for small companies. So they get a free ATS system for signing up at Picsume, and they get to access the people that we're onboarding in each region. Mm-hmm. And that's just innately in the software. So we're not being restrictive of our use of the base tools of our software. Yeah. It's all the customizations and integrations that would change for enterprise. But I'm very proud of this because now small companies are getting more on a level playing field, and they get to use the tools that have been around for a decade that they haven't been able to afford.
Yeah, exactly. Small companies can access what the big boys are
exactly
having access
and just a limited size of it because they don't need all the tools the big companies have, right?
Yeah. And now you're up to, you said, over 20 team members with Picsume?
Yeah, so 22 today. So yeah, we've been growing fast.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of government support. So we have a few different projects within Picsume that have been government funded because they're proprietary technology. One being the user profiles, dynamic work profiles. We optimize them for ATS readers. So if you build a Picsume, instead of submitting a resume, you submit your downloadable Picsume, so your downloadable PDF. You're more likely to get an interview because we've optimized it for AI to read it. So it's helping you get to that interview stage. It's getting past those first reads. And this is just a free tool for every candidate that goes on our website and builds one. Wow. So the government saw a lot of value to this. Most multinational companies that are hiring hourly workers, which is our target demo, are using AI reading systems. And Canadians are applying to them, not knowing, and they're not getting through the process.
Yes.
So we optimize, and we're on version 15, I think, right now, of optimizing those. So that's one government-funded system. So we have a whole team. So we have a whole AI engineering team in Canada now working full-time on just our tools, proprietary tools we're building. And then the second is security, data security. We've all seen what happened locally when data security isn't top-notch.
Yeah.
So we're building a custom plugin that not only tokenizes all user data as it comes in, so it's a lot more secure. It also vectorizes the non-biased information that's in their resume. So their education, their experience, these types of things. So AI can read it better. So both optimizes, as I just talked about, but it also secures it. And now when companies use our matching algorithms, it's non-biased, meaning that, like the easiest way to describe it is geographic region. This would be something on a resume, you don't think it's biased, but your surname denotes a geographic region. And then if people keep selecting candidates from that region, now they're only going to see candidates from that region. That's how machine learning works. So we built a non-biased system where we take that information out, we tokenize the PII, personal identifiable information, and then we give the LLM, so the language models and the AI systems, just the information that's deemed non-biased. So the best people that should get the jobs are getting the jobs. So both of these are government-funded programs now.
So you went from master brewer.
I was not a master brewer. Let's be clear there. I did brew a lot of beer. Almost every batch we made for 2 years, but yes. I was never a brewmaster.
To basically Mark Zuckerberg, the coder, and
I also don't do the coding. I did take some coding classes. So I know what our dev team's talking about, but
well, that's good. You got that support.
You need to do everything.
Right?
And you need to not do everything. You need to understand everything. Like every team's tied in together at Picsume. Marketing meets with dev sometimes. Right? It's operations, it's connected all around. It's like you need to have an understanding or a grasp of everything so you know what people are talking about.
Absolutely. The final question I'll leave you with, if someone was looking to be in your position one day, whether it's at Picsume or just running their own business, entering tech, the alcohol industry, what would your advice be to that person? You've been doing it for many years, although you look 25.
Well, thank you.
What would you say?
I like to always say this as, like, have the strength to choose your own destiny. So what I mean by that is it's easy to get into the rat race of I want to get a paycheck every week, and this is what I do. Have the strength to get out of the mold, to break the mold. And when I say choose your own destiny, it's I'm doing a lot of stuff I don't want to be doing on a daily basis, right? But I'm choosing to do those things still, right? So my destiny 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is what I make it. Any person that wants to get into business, they need to have this thought process, and they need to get out of that mold. So one of the popular sayings is burn the ships, right? You want to get into business, burn the ships. You can't go back to the regular paycheck. I would, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of risk-adverse viewers that are like, this guy's crazy. But I think it's harder to succeed with the comfort of knowing that you have something to go back to. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get into business, the first thing is be willing to take the risks and have the strength to do so, and have the strength to work on yourself and learn all the things that you need to learn.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I know that's loaded. But.
No, it's very, very well said. I mean, I think when you're backed into a corner is when you put in the most effort to make something happen, right? When there is not a guaranteed paycheck and you're starving, you will do whatever it takes to get that,
You've done it, right? You're self-employed. You've done your own things. You ran for council. You've done all these amazing things and you're young because you had the strength to make those decisions when those opportunities were available.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage, right?
It takes a lot of courage. If you didn't, if you had something to fall back on, maybe you wouldn't have made some of those decisions. Yeah. And we wouldn't be here with Coffee with Crainer today.
Wine with Crainer. Wine with Crainer, yes. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Episode 144. Check out Picsume, all the great things that they're doing. Visit VIN, BREW
Wedding in the Woods, the Frame Beach Retreat,
coming
phase
soon.
1, coming at the end of the summer. So they're about to get occupancy. Yeah. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Those watching, watch the full episode on coffeewithcreator.com. We'll see you very soon.